Chapter 6. The Abduction. Ow! Arilla grimaced in pain as she bent down to pull some lint away from the filter of a cleaning robot. Being a servant, she maintained the array of robots that did most of the cleaning and maintenance in Rhodesia. Under normal circumstances, this was an easy enough job, but her pregnancy was giving her complications. Worse yet, she hadn't dared to visit a medical professional out of fear that Hidayat would denounce her and request for her deportation. A colleague rushed over, got seated on the floor next to her and spoke. "Are you okay, Arilla? Why haven't Supervisor Nimbin given you easier tasks since you are pregnant?" "I'm okay, Saronka. I haven't asked Nimbin for easier tasks, as I don't want special treatment," Arilla replied. "Don't be silly. You're not asking a favor for yourself. The favor is for your future baby. Our society wants every baby to have the best gestational period possible. If you work too hard, you might harm the child," Saronka replied. "I guess," Arilla mumbled. "Come on, don't worry. I'll ask Nimbin to give you easier tasks because of your condition," Saronka replied. Hearing this, Arilla froze. She feared that Hidayat would find out about her pregnancy if Saronka spoke to Nimbin. But then again, she was 6 months pregnant and half-term, so it would be impossible to hide her pregnancy for much longer in any case. "Please help me, Zelenko," Arilla thought and held back her impulse to cry. Saronka hugged Arilla and soothed. "You don't seem happy about the pregnancy. Do you have a bad relationship with the man that the Genome Masters appointed to you?" Saronka replied. "It is complicated," Arilla said and sobbed. So, my dear, it is natural to doubt the man the Genome Masters appoint you. But it will work out for the best," Saronka replied. "Do you think so?" Arilla asked. "Yes, I wish I had followed the Genome Masters' advice. I gave up on them when I found my husband. We have been together for 98 years without a conception taking place. It has been a long and sad time," Saronka revealed. "Perhaps you could solve the problem by having sex more than once per year," Arilla thought, but she held her tongue. Conceiving outside of the allowed period was a severe crime on Zetani, and she was a fool to even think about it. "At least I didn't break against that law," Arilla thought in a desperate attempt to be optimistic. "I'm sorry to hear that," Arilla said to Saronka. "Don't worry about me. Go home and get some rest. I'll talk to Nimbin for you," Saronka said and forced a smile. "Thank you, Saronka," Arilla said, got up from the floor and left the facility. "Come on, sister. Let's go to the Midwinter Celebration." Arilla opened her eyes and looked at her brother Kylo. He seemed as happy as ever, unbothered by the worries of the world. And why wouldn't he be? Kylo was still young and excited about living. She had felt the same in her youth, which had ended less than a year ago. "What's the point?" Arilla moaned. "The point is for you to get out of the bed. You're not sick. You're pregnant to a successful man. It should be a cause for joy," Kylo replied. Hearing her brother's enthusiasm, Arilla knew she had to tell him the truth. She couldn't lie to her closest friend in the world. She could only imagine the shock he would feel if she didn't prepare him for the dark times ahead. "Brother, there is something I need to tell you," Arilla said with a solemn voice. "Don't warn me about the dangers of having a good time. I can look after myself," Kylo teased. "I'm not pregnant to Hidayat," Arilla replied. "What? Does he know this?" Kylo exclaimed. "Since we didn't sleep together, I'd say so," Arilla said. "Tell me what happened," Kylo asked. "I rejected Hidayat. A few days later, he confronted me. Zelenko protected me against him, and we had an instant attraction," Arilla revealed. "Zelenko Siblekson? The mayor's son?" Kylo asked. "Yes," Arilla replied. "But he's getting married to Shawana Siblenkan tonight," Kylo replied. "Yes, I know. That's why I'm so depressed," Arilla replied. "Don't be. The wedding day is the perfect day to confront Zelenko. If you bring your fling to public knowledge, he has no choice but to take you in as a concubine, Kylo exclaimed. But he told me to lay low and that he would look after me, Orilla whispered. Bullshit! Those rich pricks are all the same. Zelenko will send you away unless you make your relations public, Kylo replied. Orilla considered Kylo's words. Her brother was correct. 6 months had passed, and Zelenko had not taken any actions to protect their unborn child. Clearly, he was awaiting for her to give birth so he could send her away to a fringe world. After all, Zelenko had said that she was to give birth to the chosen one. Thus, it was the child, but not her, that he worried about. You're right. We need to confront Zelenko today. This has gone on for long enough, Orilla said. Good. Let's get dressed and hurry to the venue, Kylo said and helped Orilla out of the bed to head to the wedding ceremony. Orilla and Kylo wore conspicuous clothes as they headed to Mansin Island where Zelenko's wedding took place. They needed to hurry as it was close to midnight and the ceremony would begin soon. Orilla needed to reveal the truth before it happened, so there could be an amendment to the marriage contract that allowed Orilla as a concubine. They were almost at the ferry crossing when Xialiap approached them and spoke.
Orilla and Kylo, where do you think you're going?
We're going to Zelenko's wedding. We need to set things right, Kylo exclaimed.
That's not going to happen. The two of you are coming with me,
Xialiap replied. No, we're not. Come, Orilla, Kylo replied and turned in the direction of the ferry crossing. Xialiap blasted Kylo with a psionic blast, who collapsed and broke his nose in the landing. Kylo groaned as he tried to get up with silvery bluish blood streaming from his nose. What happened? Kylo mumbled.
You were being disobedient, and I punished you for it, servant,
Xialiap taunted. I'll tell the others. You won't get away with this, Kylo replied, closed his eyes, and passed out. No! What have you done? Orilla exclaimed.
His pain will be passing. He should survive,
Xialiap stated. Why are you doing this? Orilla sobbed.
To look after my unborn child. What kind of father would allow the mother of his child to act irresponsibly? I am the one of the Zetan Genome Masters chose for you. Therefore, it is my right to take you to protected custody,
Xialiap said and smirked. Orilla looked at Xialiap. He had a cold, unemotional gaze, and she feared his intentions. She could have tried to appease him if he had acted in anger. However, his current mindset indicated a calculated move by the prominent scholar. Okay, I'm coming with you, Orilla said.
Good. I'm glad you came to your senses,
Xialiap replied. Can I please put my brother in a recovery position? I don't want him to choke on his own blood, Orilla pleaded.
Yes, your brother is worth more to me alive,
Xialiap said and smirked. Orilla nodded, got down next to her brother, moved him into the recovery position, and whispered, Everything will be all right. I love you. After that, she got up and followed Xialiap to a nearby vehicle. As she got into the vehicle, she heard how the wedding bells rang for midnight. Her love interest was now a married man. Her brother was unconscious, and she was the captive of a psychopath. What an awful winter equinox.